Basketball players are scoring a bunch of points and getting buckets in so many ways. They shoot threes from the parking lot and elevate to heights that some birds can't see. So basketball has to be in a good spot, right? No. It's actually in the worst spot it's ever been, and let me tell you why. This NBA season has already brought us two 70-point scorers, with Joel Embiid and Luka Doncic doing it in the month of January. And seeing this happen in real time is so cool, but let's take a look at some numbers. From 1960 to 2006, there were only 5 players that ever scored 70 in an NBA game. That means it took 46 years for 5 guys to accomplish this crazy achievement. But since 2017, 5 new guys have entered this list, and it only took 7 years. So a question is being asked: why is it so easy for these guys to do something that was once considered nearly impossible? Some people point to the offense getting so good that these players are starting to become unguardable.
Come on, man, our bigs, we got bigs in the league getting 70 and 60, making 9, 10 threes, shooting pull-up jump shot. I mean, it's insane what we got going on.
And while these guys are definitely getting deeper bags, I'm going to tell you the truth. Defense doesn't exist. That's right, I said it. No one plays defense anymore. While there's a select group of guys that still pride themselves on the defensive side of the ball, a wide majority of them focus only on the offensive side of it. And the worst part is, it isn't even their fault. But we'll talk about that more later in the video. Easy buckets are the main source of today's offense, and that's just a fact. Whether it's a lack of effort, low IQ defensive schemes, or players not knowing how to defend a soul, something needs to change now. Since the 2014-2015 NBA season, per game scoring has gone up every year besides one, which tells us that the problem is only getting worse. I'm starting to lean towards the idea that the Defensive Player of the Year award should be eliminated altogether. So let's take an even deeper look at why defense is becoming extinct. The entire AAU circuit is killing basketball each year, and if you don't believe me, you should believe guys who competed at the top of the game. Robert Horry said that he thinks the entire system is flawed and that the coaches use these young players for publicity and publicity only. Kevin Garnett is on record saying that AAU has killed our league.
Our league now is at a point where you have to teach more than anything. AAU has killed our league.
Yeah.
Seriously, I hate to even say this, but it's real. AAU has killed our league from the perspective that these kids are not being taught anything.
And if those two weren't enough, even Kobe Bryant said that it's horrible for the game.
Kobe, you've been pretty critical of the AAU system and the way American players are brought up.
Not pretty critical, I'm extremely critical. I hate it. Because it doesn't teach our players how to play the right way.
So why do these NBA legends feel this way? For one, every player is playing for themselves. At the end of the day, AAU is used as a showcase for players to show scouts why they should recruit them to their school. And that completely throws away the team aspect of basketball, which is the most important. It's even been reported that some teams practice once a week before they go and play multiple games. This turns basketball into a single-player sport like golf or tennis, and that's not what it was meant to be at all. I don't think this is what James Naismith intended with that peach basket and soccer ball. This ideology inadvertently throws away the idea of defense because all of these AAU Ball is Life mixtapes don't have tip pass or good rotations on them. They're filled with ankle breakers, contested threes, and poster dunks. While this is entertaining, it's clear that the circuit doesn't value the fundamentals of the game. Another reason this is so bad is because losing becomes normal. They play 4 to 5 games a week sometimes, and while losing is supposed to be the worst thing possible, it's kind of just shrugged off. That competitive edge is taken away, and the question goes from did the team win to how many points did blank player have, which is awful for the sport. It's also terrible for player development because of the awful sportsmanship it teaches. Since the entire thing is used for clicks and publicity, having teenagers showboat and ridicule their opponents is great for social media, but awful for personal development. I also didn't mention that it's expensive to play, which is just an added bonus on why kids should stay away. Now let's switch gears. I'm going to throw something out there that needs to be changed sooner rather than later, and it's lowering the amount of games played in an NBA season. 82 games is way too much because basketball has a draining effect on the human body, and that's the reason so many players sit out. We blame a guy like Embiid for ducking Jokic, but he's a 7-footer who gets beat up every night, so of course he's going to have to sit out some games, and he's never going to be ready come playoff time. They play back-to-backs multiple times a year, and one game probably takes a year off their life. Okay, I'm joking, but seriously, it's gotta be draining. This could also be the reason that no one plays defense. I swear, everything comes back to this point. If a player's tired coming off a back-to-back, they're way more likely to spend the rest of their energy on offense rather than trying on defense. My suggestion is that they lower the amount of games to 68 or 70 and try to limit players from playing back-to-back games, if any at all. This will improve the level of basketball being played on both sides of the ball, and kids won't be disappointed when they go to see a superstar and he's playing Waterboy. There's another heated topic surrounding basketball today that fans say is ruining the game, and can you guess it? It's all of these ticky-tacky fouls being called when the defender defender is literally doing nothing wrong. And I know everyone is calling out Embiid, and it's true he gets to the line a lot, but I promise you it's not only him. All of these stars are putting their head down and bull rushing their way into the paint so that they can try and get to the charity stripe. Or they're flopping on shots where they weren't even touched. Obviously everyone wants to blame the players, and that's fair I guess, but I want to take a look at somebody else. Adam Silver. Okay, maybe not him specifically, but the league is the one allowing this to happen. They're rewarding guys who only want to shoot free throws and giving them exactly what they want. We know this is true because superstar players have a whistle like nobody else. And if you don't believe me, go look at the list of guys with the most free throw attempts per game this season. Every single one of them is an all-star or well-known player. On some levels, this makes complete sense, and I understand that. They're the best in the game, so other players have to foul them to stop them. But if you watch any game featuring these guys, you know that LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo are getting ghost whistle. Which brings us into our next point, and it has to deal with the zebras on the sideline. To put it simply, the referees are using their authority in the wrong ways. They love to put themselves at the center of attention and dictate a game rather than letting the players duke it out. And we all know that isn't right. Some of the technicals that they call are absolutely ridiculous, and they'll eject players for literally anything. Like when JJ Redick threw this ball at the ref and he tossed him out of the game. Or when they ejected Austin Rivers for elbowing Lance Stevenson, except he never made contact. It's getting ridiculous, and honestly it makes me not want to watch sometimes. These guys can't trash talk at all without the refs telling them to stop, and for some reason they can't show any emotion when they make a great play. We've actually seen this across all sports, so I think we should all come together and protest the referees as a whole. I once heard someone say that we should make them do press conferences after a game, and honestly I'm down. But let's take a look at players individually. I'm not gonna lie, part of the reason that refs make so many calls is because all players do today is complain. Apparently nobody in the NBA has ever fouled anybody else because whenever that whistle gets blown, someone is throwing their hands up and jawing at the officials. And while you usually see stars doing it on ESPN or Bleacher Report, the fact of the matter is every player complains non-stop. Michael Jordan was getting thrown to the ground and broke bones during games, but most of the time he'd just pop back up and start to play again. Now you have role players acting like superstars and crying when a pinky finger touches them. I know for a fact that this irritates pretty much every basketball fan in the world, and it's gotten so bad I don't even know how the league would address it. They've tried adding stuff like a flop rule, but nothing has worked so far. What do you guys think they could do about this going forward? This next reason that basketball is being ruined is honestly kind of controversial, and it has two sides, and that's isolation basketball. On one end of the spectrum, iso ball is simply awesome. It lets players go one-on-one to test their skills, and it's made some of the best moments in NBA history. A lot of the times we see an insane game winner or just crazy offensive moves, but we also get those moments where you see a sick block or a player clamping up. But on the other side of things, sometimes iso ball becomes too much. What I mean by this is when a team solely relies on isolation from one or two players to get all of their buckets, basketball just isn't the same. We saw this a lot with James Harden when he was with the Houston Rockets under Mike D'Antoni, and they caught a lot of heat for their iso heavy offense.
I think I'm not a fan of in terms of winning championships. I don't think that style is ever going to win championships. But at the same time, you have to keep your team's head above water to win games. So you have to do what you have to do to win games, and he's doing that.
And I talked about this earlier, but basketball is a team sport, and isolation ball can take away from that team aspect. I do agree though that sometimes it's the best method to win a game or get a bucket when you really need it. I mean, putting the ball in your best guy's hand is the right move, right? But it isn't winning basketball in the long term. Saying that this kind of play has ruined basketball is a little dramatic right now, but if the trend continues where teams rely solely on iso buckets, I think it has the potential to hurt it.